it's been a big couple weeks for Miami. So, you know, I'm going to go there. So let's talk about MiamiCoin. So that was last week, right? It was approved by the commission's office. So what does that mean? I think I've gotten a lot of questions. I will publicly share that I officially own plenty of MiamiCoin.
Look at that.
And
Full transparency.
yeah, full transparency
She
here.
invested in it.
Yep, I did. So I think I had questions on stacks. Where do you buy it? What is it? Where does the money go? What do you mean the commission's office approved it? So we got to go full in. I need you guys to give us
I'm going to give a little bit of macro framing about how the mayor and the city were looking at crypto writ large, and then Mike can give a full breakdown of the mechanics of MiamiCoin and the genesis of how that sort of evolved. But I'll start with the sort of grand proposition that Bitcoin is here. We are indeed living in a laser-eyed future. So I said that because I promised my kids I would say something like that. That was just I had to.
check.
But it's not the audience. I wanted to say that in a more formal setting where I had a larger boomer grouping that could hear me say that. But that aside, so I think that what we saw, and this is me being a macro policy nerd for a quick second, that the pandemic showed us that it's the decentralization of American innovation. The idea that no longer are there one or two nodes that represent these incumbent hubs of innovation. So it's no longer just going to be Silicon Valley, Boston's life sciences corridor, and a couple of other places. So we saw that as a function of the pandemic, as people sort of took shelter all around America, all over the world, that there are extraordinary things happening everywhere. So that happened. We observed that phenomenon in 2020. I think similar to that, we see with what's happened with Bitcoin, other decentralized crypto assets, the blockchain, the idea of that we're moving essentially to a serverless type world, right? If we think about sort of data architecture. And I think against that backdrop, Mayor Suarez recognized that innovation is being decentralized in every which way. Talent is moving in multiple different directions. Capital is also getting reconfigured for the second half of the 21st century. And all of that's happening right now. And in a similar stead, what we were seeing is that in multiple other major markets around the world, and even in North America, we were seeing people that were heavily invested in crypto that saw that there was an opportunity point in this decentralized financial modality. They were seeing a welcoming space in Miami, and in the personage and in the leadership of Mayor Suarez, who very early on was signaling, both in his leadership and being part of the Florida Blockchain Association going back years, that this was a place where we wanted to welcome people who were building in and around crypto. And so against that backdrop, we then saw the opportunity point arise for something that was totally unique, totally different. That is the MiamiCoin story, which is where I passed the ball to Mike to kind of get into the particulars of it.
So sometime early summer, I got like a random phone call from our CFO. I was actually out that day. And I might have seen it even come in my inbox. But he's like, hey, there's this crypto organization that says they have a mechanism to give the city a bunch of money, like in the millions. Is this real? And I said, I don't know. I was supposed to be sleeping this morning, sir, but I'll jump on this. I'll jump on this phone call because there's a lot of stuff coming through, and a lot of it is noise. And I will confess that a year ago, you'd say blockchain, blah blah blah, and my eyes would roll. Like, and all my other CIO friends in other cities kind of felt the same way because it was such like a marketing buzzy term that was being used. People didn't really have a use case. So, what Miami coins and city coins are. MiamiCoin is a protocol that is built on top of a blockchain called Stacks. Stacks is a level 1 blockchain that uses Bitcoin, the Bitcoin blockchain, for its security. So there is a relationship to the Bitcoin blockchain. Stacks itself is still a level 1, but Stacks is capable of smart contracting. So what you end up is a smart contracting a blockchain capable of smart contracts that's still using Bitcoin. It's a security layer, which was interesting to us now having gone through, the Bitcoin conference and me sort of getting updated in the space and going deeper on the difference between what Bitcoin does really well and then maybe what some of the blockchains do a little differently. The idea that because we were talking about sort of sound money, the importance of it having a relationship to Bitcoin kind of caught my attention. So that was the the first. I'm like, all right, we can go here the extra step. Pretty early on, they were describing these mechanics where by the act of people mining MiamiCoin, and the way that works is that people submit stacks, right? Whereas in the creation of Bitcoin, people are submitting electricity to mine Bitcoin. In the stacks world, you submit Bitcoin to mine stacks. And it's still kind of the same concept. The more electricity that you're kind of putting into the system, the more likelihood you are to effectively win Bitcoin. In stacks, same concept, except you're submitting Bitcoin to create the stacks. And then MiamiCoin works similar pattern, where in MiamiCoin, you submit stacks to make the MiamiCoin. So the stacks that are submitted to make that MiamiCoin for the mining process, the city gets 30% automatically. The protocol takes 30% of that and allocates that to a wallet reserve designated for the city of Miami. The 70% gets redistributed to all of the winning holders of Citicoin. So I know that's a lot. Summary, this 30% that has been the mining process for MiamiCoin started in, I think it was early August. Mm-hmm. In about 40 days, generated, it would have hit 6 million. I think yesterday we had a little bit of a little dip in the market,
it's
right?
Okay.
Because
we're not concerned.
We're not worried about that. But it's approaching $6 million in roughly 45 days. So these numbers that seemed extravagant in June proved out to be quite real. And assuming mining keeps on happening on MiamiCoin at a certain rate, this has the potential. It's on track to generate like $40 million for the year. It could be 40 to 80 if mining activity for MiamiCoin increases, and there's effectively there's no restriction. It is a gift, and this is what the city accepted. The way that, because we are not legally allowed by the state to hold cryptocurrency, effectively what this is, it's a gift from Citicoins with kind of no ceiling. They will periodically give us a gift of this money in U.S. dollars.
And U.S. dollars, okay.
Yeah.
And it's important to know something that Mayor Suarez has really articulated, Mike, and everything that Mike just described there required hours and hours of diligence, conversations, flow charts, all of that. And I want to give a lot of props for Mike for really leading through that, because there's no template. You couldn't pick up a phone and call one of his CIO homies around the country. But if Mayor Suarez was sitting here, one of the things that he would say is this experiment and this innovation, and our city commission in totality, in unison, voted in favor of this. It is a new way of resource development for cities, because this is not tax generated, and nor is this philanthropy. So it's really charted a third path for resource development that is decentralized, but of course then centralized against a city's local government rulemaking authority for then the allocation of these important resources to drive meaningful value for this crypto asset. So it's totally unprecedented that no other city in the world has done something
We're
like
the
this.
first.
Yes.
We're absolutely the first. It's also just follow up on your point, Saif, like the huge mind shift, being in innovation space. Innovation's often like I'm scrounging for hey, like $50,000 to do this little project, or like we're going to go to the civic hackathon events, and like can we get enough money for coffee to do the thing, right? Because it's taxpayer dollars, and you're going to obviously pay for core services first, police, fire, all the public safety stuff, all the core operations of the city. This kind of stuff often gets left as like extra and doesn't always make, in tough budget times, doesn't always make the cut. You now have another substantive bucket of money that you can do things that really, how this will actually be spent, still hasn't been decided yet. But the possibilities now are completely different than they were before, because they're not taxpayer dollars. It's like a voluntary contribution being made to the city from an algorithm.
And, well, and then you've got all these people who now own MiamiCoin. So what's the benefit to them? When you're buying MiamiCoin, it's like I always talk about the NFT and the coins and sometimes it's all popularity based.
Yeah.
Let's just be real.
It's a big casino.
The majority of the time, it's just like a little popularity. Like, how many coins do you own? And you as a community supporter, do you own coins and why? So like how it's being used is crucial. So like for us, like it's almost like saying like, do we have buy-in on what this money is being used for? That feels a little bit like there's more. It's like having an NFT, owning, like being a part of a community now because you have that NFT.
So we were sort of hyper-focused right now on this commission meeting and making sure we even had a mechanism. Before we even think about spending, we had a mechanism to accept the funds. So that's now happened. The other thing that I think is actually pretty cool is we're going to be putting that money for a period of time into escrow. One, to continue to do some more due diligence and make sure. We've already done background checks on folks involved. So like we're still going just to make sure.
It's very early.
It's very early. And then take some time to figure out how we're going to allocate these funds. What are the priorities of the community? Is there a room for like a DAO type situation where like if you're a token holder, there's some sort of voting potential to do some stuff? Now, in coming as a city, we want to make sure that we are not excluding folks as well. And like,
I get you. That could be complicated because then it's like you have to own it to be a part of it,
right? And we also don't want to create necessarily an ecosystem where like a bunch of people, it's only MiamiCoin holders that have a vote either. So it's a little complicated. But my favorite part about this project, just from the Inside City perspective, our attorneys, the procurement department, our CFO, the commissioners have engaged with this in a way that I never thought was actually possible because it's the first time we've ever done it. So even the mind bend that has been happening, that people are like, all right, let me take a step back and not think about this in some traditional government way. That's the most exciting thing for me because these are entirely new models. It's reshaping the way governance works. And it's been a catalyst for that. No matter what happens after this point, like at a minimum, there's $5 million that are there for something really cool, whatever it is, that's going to help people. And it's changed the way that we think about governance and what people are willing to do to move the city forward.
And of course, that the eyes of the world are on us.
Yeah, and if we also think through something that matters a lot, which is the generational leap. There was a recent study that came out that the majority of holders of crypto are 38-year-old white guys. Nothing wrong with 38-year-old white guys. But if the MiamiCoin initiative can do one thing and democratize the imagination, so young people in our community, older folks in our community across different backgrounds, different identities can see themselves becoming part of the crypto movement, I think then we stand a better chance at being able to build a meaningful bridge for more people to be part of this movement. And I think that something like MiamiCoin, which right now, this is not about sort of buying it or not buying it, but the idea of this template of activity definitely sparks the imagination of broader people. I mean, there's an extraordinary guy out in the community who goes by the name Captain Haiti, who's very much a crypto, amazing guy. And Commissioner Watson has actually been kind of spotlighted what Captain Haiti's doing.
Look this guy up. He's got a full-on like Captain America style shield, but it's
the Haitian flag.
It's a Haitian flag that has kind of like a crypto,
awesome.
kind of like a crypto motif. But anyway, the thing about Captain Haiti that's really great is that he's leaning in to thinking about how crypto, blockchain, and DeFi can be leveraged to providing important support services to Haitian relief issues, as well as empowering more creators of color in the Haitian American community and the community writ large. So you think about like this movement, what's happening with MiamiCoin, it's about folks like Captain Haiti. It's about organizations like 5,000 Role Models, which we're now leaning into and thinking about how is it that we can help empower and with information this group of young people so that they too can be part of this ethos of participation that's being created in the city.
And you mentioned, so there is a question about utility that still has not been answered, right? If you're a holder, what's possible with this? There are a number of hackathons happening from City Coin Central. Patrick Stanley, who's the main guy there, has been coordinating along with a few others in the space. for the first hackathon around city coins. We hope that is going to spark some imagination, and I would love to see more of those happen here locally for applications that could help the region and things that we haven't even thought about doing yet. So consider that an invite. It's a smart contracting language. What is possible? We could build NFTs on MiamiCoin. We could build NFTs on Stacks. What would be possible if we did that?
And hey, look, there's a hackathon coming up this weekend at FIU, and maybe we're going to get a chance to take a dive in, because I think one of the really cool things about this is that it's not only you can't just you can own it to be a part of this movement, but you can also build on it, which I think this is like a super Miami tech way of going about it to participate.
So I want to layer on two things before we close out here, because we're coming to the hour here. So one thing, guys, this is new. Like you just said it, this is not, it's not something any other city has done before. We're obviously learning, figuring it out. So there are going to be some controversial conversations around this because it's new. Yeah. So we're uncovering it. So if you have thoughts, feedback, share it. I think you guys are open here to listen.
100%.
And I do think that maybe some small DAOs could be created along the way, part of another DAO, and just people can start having these conversations and giving the feedback. I think we need the brain power of a community to think this through and start getting creative. Second thing, how do you buy MiamiCoin? You download OKCoin. Is that the only way you can get it right now?
2 ways to get MiamiCoin. You can go through the mining process, and you can do that. I think it's citycoins.co. If you look up Citycoins MiamiCoin, so you can mine it there, or you can buy it outright on OKCoin.
Which is probably the easiest way majority of people will be doing.
Our sharing that information is not an offer of investment advice.
Yes.
That's my Charles Schwab.
We hope other exchanges will also pick it up.
Exactly. The lawyer in me kicks in to say, by no means to be part of this movement that's building does it require anybody to expend a single bit of dollars or resources, but I think there's probably a desire to get in the game. And I think to the point that you asked, like, we've got the largest hackathon happening in the state of Florida, which is Shell Hacks, which is put on by a student technology group at FIU called UPE, that's going down this weekend. And UPE has like 1,500 members. This is a student-led organization. It's a extraordinary hackathon that's going to be focused on solutions for important issue topics in our region, but young people across a range of different backgrounds, not just FIU, but Miami-Dade College, St. Thomas, Barry, Florida Memorial, Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Really, anyone that wants to participate gets in on it. And these are extraordinary talented young people that are also unlocking opportunities in the innovation economy that's happening. So Shell Hacks, check it out. They're basically, it's going to take over the Gram and Twitter this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
You won't be able to open any social platform without being bombarded by Impact and Shell Hacks.
And believe me, hey man, I am going to be turning up for that. I love hackathons. My organization, the Silver Logic, loves hackathons. We only got 90 seconds left, so it's time for a quick